renovation has just about been completed, and today is the first day that materials and books are being moved back into the library.
Recently unveiled is the elevator tower. Inside the library on moving day. Fireplace that was hidden in the wall has been exposed for our pleasure.
We're in the hallway of the new handicap entrance facing Cottage Street, and here we can see the tablet in honor of Charles Merriam. And we can see the construction of the handicap access ramp is still underway. Now we're on the second floor, looking out the windows facing West Main Street. We're looking in through the entrance on the second floor. A newly renovated room. Now we're looking to the room that was Quabog Historical Society Museum. And we're at the room State Quabog Historical Society Museum. Again, we're now in the room that was the location of the Quabog Historical Society Museum. And as we turn towards the west side of the building, we can see the elevator. Country Bank, visible through the small window. The elevator, the new stairway. Fourth, 1997, we're here at the Merriam-Gilbert Library in West Brookfield for the rededication of the renovated library.
Rededication of the Merriam-Gilbert library. We'll have a ribbon cutting down here, and then everybody invited to come upstairs, where we'll have all the wonderful speeches we have planned for you and entertainment of children. After which we'll have a tour of the building. I'm very happy to see all of you here, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cook.
However, the room that we have, the additional room we have, is going to allow us, prior to our acquiring a new home, anyone who has something like that, might like to donate to the society. We'll be very grateful. We hope to incorporate and revolve some of our more permanent collections through the library, so that they will get have access to them, especially through the back now. 1997 is the year that the Grapevine Historical Society is paying special attention to Lucy Stone, the real founder and heartthrob of the women's movement in this country in the 1800s. With that, I'd just like to say that the completion of any project such as this, much is lost sight of the amount of work that went into getting us this far. This is a project involving many people, many years. I'm just going to go over quickly the 5 years that I have had tenure as a trustee of this library. The former trustees were deeply involved in tackling the issues such as access, such as rules, 5, 10, and 20-year plan. When I arrived on the board, were Barbara Morrow, Eddie Powers, Lee Gay, John Murphy. Subsequently, trustees Elizabeth Posen, Madeline Chipman also had input in the project. Our weekends, nights, agonizing decisions, all here one day. Our architects, Mahon Wong Associates, did a remarkable job in a short period of time. Board of Selectmen, this town, entirely supported this project and the one called the town hall, which is the next project. So they deserve a great deal of thanks. Capital Planning Group, we put together 2 projects with some others that said, what can the town do? Give the town really important. Spend an inordinate amount of time making this happen. I want to say thanks to 2 librarians who went through this whole thing. Mary Hulser, who's no longer our librarian, but before the front of a lot of things that happened here. Spent countless hours of emotion to seeing this project through. I want to say a special thanks to Louise Garland, our assistant librarian. Deserve special credit. A lot of work is unseen. And with that, I finally want to thank the town of West Brookfield. I did ask somebody, I said, who is this library going to be rededicated to? Now, of course, it's being rededicated to the town of West Brookfield. All of the people in the town meeting supporting the library and wanting exactly what we have. So with that, officially opening the gates, cutting the ribbon, welcome all to Merriam-Gilbert Library.
few more chairs here in front.
2 more down front. Cost you extra.
Any children who want to sit on the floor in front? Take a chance down.
That's terrible. Okay, go ahead, girls.
We have some presentations by children from both the elementary school and the high school. We will start with a poem by Gregory Sauer. Excuse me, essay by Gregory Sauer.
Imagine visiting a tropical paradise, exploring the theory of relativity with Albert Einstein, or crossing the Delaware River with George Washington. All of these things are possible with books in our lives. I am very happy to have a new library in West Brookfield. I can use it to play games on computers, rent movies, rent CDs, or just have the enjoyment of reading a book. Whether I am in search of the stats of my favorite baseball player or finding the temperature in Montego Bay, Jamaica, I know I can find a book that can help me at the newly improved Merriam-Gilbert Public Library. School can be very tough for a kid like me these days, so I need a place to go find information on topics ranging from the West Indian manatee to the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I know that our new library is the best place to do research on these topics. Hey, you never know. Someday in the future, some 11-year-old kid might be looking up the stats on the Boston Red Sox most valuable player, Eric Sauer. I hope everyone in West Brookfield knows how lucky we are to have a special place to go.
A poem by Matt Jones.
Libraries are the key factors of literacy being spread, loaning books to people at no cost ahead. So when it's the night when someone's lying in bed, they won't turn on the TV, they'll read a good book instead. There are many different kinds of books in the library. Some are adventurous and some are scary. Some are mysterious and some may be funny. I definitely believe that libraries are the best use of the taxpayer money. The library's book take people away from the normal day-to-day by reading writers like Dr. Seuss and Hemingway. A wide array of books lay on the shelves, so book lovers like you and I can indulge ourselves. There's also a place where people can study or even tutor, and you no longer need to search in the card file. You can use a computer. Have you ever been to the library on a rainy day? In a book, all your worries just float away. But don't be fooled, it's not the same in the library, only later. It's now a library in the elevator.
As early as I can remember, I've enjoyed looking at books. Before I began school, I liked going to the town library. Now that I've become a better reader, instead of just looking at picture books, I can take books to read for entertainment. I can also use the library's computers, CDs, tapes, and other features. In the future, I plan to continue reading and hope the library will remain a source of relaxation for my learning. Since I've begun some of the higher grades in elementary school, I've realized that I can also use the library as a powerful tool. I use the library as a tool by using it for research, reference, and as a resource to help me find information to do reports. I'm sure that I will continue to use the library as a tool when I'm in high school and college. There are many reasons I think our library is a big part of our culture. Without the library, we wouldn't be able to have the knowledge or opportunities that we have now. We also wouldn't have such a great place to relax or work on our homes.
Now, I got a part.
The library is many things to many people. It is a place of never-ending knowledge to some. It is a place where anyone can come. The books within these cases will take you to many places. You can find magic between the covers of any book. The librarians will show you where to look. The volumes inside of those red brick walls house the knowledge to make baseballs. They can teach you about why we become sick, or take you into the fictional world of Moby Dick. So if you need some useful information, or you're looking for a copy of a famous oration, the library is now available for one and all. It is definitely more rewarding than a visit to the mall. It only takes a minute or two, and you can find a book that's just for you. You can always find a corner in which to read and hide. A visit to Merriam-Gilbert will now take you far and wide.
We'll now have a few words from our newly elected senator, Steve Brewer, who has been very supportive of not only this public library, but of all the public libraries in this district. Now that he's senator, his district is a lot larger, and there will be more people who will benefit from his experience and his assistance in Boston. Steve?
I'm going down to the That song stays with me. This is great. This is probably the best $900,000 the state and the town has spent in a good many years, and it's very gratifying to see. The construction project was 8 months, but the planning and the intrepid determination of those people who wouldn't say no, who wouldn't quit on these projects. When you've been around a few years, you get to do a few libraries, a few school building projects, a few housing for the elderly projects. And there are no, if I can use a double negative, there are no non-believers when you come to the ribbon cutting. Everyone says, hey, it really fit. The architecture fit. The bell tower elevator isn't offensive to anyone. You hardly notice it's there anymore. I mean, it's just great. And this is a happy moment for West Brookfield, and it's just terrific. And I'm very excited and very, very pleased. Many projects like this happen, or attempt to be done, but they don't get done quite often. People fall by the wayside, and I congratulate the Library Construction Committee, the trustees, and the town officials for being involved. This library now stands ready, willing, and able to meet the needs of West Brookfield and the world for the 21st century. I think that's very important. There is no doubt that reading remains the cheapest way to learn, to travel, to dream, and to push the boundaries of your brain. Books are our friends, and our friendship should be nurtured, respected, and shared. Everyone in this room has, in one way or another, experienced that moment of initial infatuation with the written word. Indeed, that is what has brought us together today, a dedication to literature, an awareness of the importance of books. When I was a little boy, my fantasy, call me odd if you wish, but down in the basement of the Woods Memorial Library in Barrie, the Chronicles of the War of the Rebellion. We always call it the Civil War, of course, and it's maybe 100 volumes. And I always wanted to get walked in on a Friday afternoon and have the library not open up until, because it was closed on Mondays in Barrie, to Tuesday so I could be immersed in it. It didn't happen, but I always wanted to. The way I was, the fuse of reading and the love of books began when I was these children's age, and it hasn't been satiated in the 49 years that I've been around this planet so far. I did want to, the last time I quoted this lady over at the Sugden Library dedication, Penny Johnson of the Worcester Library, she came up to me, she was there in the audience, you know, little did I know, thank God I attributed it. And she was very flattered that I remembered her words in that regard, and I would like to. Her words were as important and as salient then as they always are. The library is the primary source of information for people from cradle to the grave. It is for all professions, ages, businesses, tastes, crafts. Why, it even benefits people before they are born. Mothers come to us seeking information on prenatal care and nutrition. Yes, a library is all of that and more. It is the custodian of the written word upon which much of civilization is built. It is the ultimate treasure house of knowledge, culture, and wisdom. Without books, there would be no history, no science, no technology, no healing, no intelligent life. Without reading, man would be condemned to a hopeless journey across the desert of ignorance. Literacy is one of the few attributes that distinguish Homo sapiens from other creatures on this earth. Any community that ignores what a library is, and what it offers, and what it means, does so at its own peril. There are many activities that the legislature is involved in, and I'm very, very pleased to announce to you today that the library construction bond, which is $160 million, to continue the effort that you're seeing here in West Brookfield throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I have to lend my support for Central and Western Massachusetts in particular, because there are a number of library projects that are ongoing. The library construction bond of $160 million was given a favorable report by the Committee on State Administration on Wednesday, April 30th, last Wednesday. It now goes before the Senate Ways and Means Committee, and it happens to have been sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader. One can only hope that that will bode well for that project as well. Also approved by that committee last Wednesday was a strategic plan to enhance library technology and resource and sharing, so that a $6 million plan that will access every library with each other and access 50 million books throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in one gigantic library for this state. The information age is coming to the libraries so they can speak to each other and be as resourceful and as valuable as they possibly can in a highly technological age. What I'm seeing, though, in the legislature, and from people who are advocates of libraries, is a new political activism. You're starting to call us, write letters, and having regional meetings. I was at a meeting in Palmer not too long ago where librarians and library trustees all the way from Northfield came down to Palmer, and they brought all the legislators in and fed them breakfast, eggs and issues I call it, and they raised the issues with us, and that's important. It is important. If you love libraries, if you believe in what libraries do, make sure that your legislators are online, not only in West Brookfield, but throughout the Commonwealth. If you're not from this area today, make sure they are, because it's very, very important. But there is still much to be done. National statistics indicate that there are more Americans unable to read or write than in any other developed nation in the world. And the peril we will face, and as will grow with each hour that we delay in the matter of restoration of education through our schools and libraries, and most importantly, our homes. And as the young people said in that song, imagine instead of MTV, you can get a book and feel good about yourself as you read, rather than become another dope in front of a screen. And I want you to know in the Brewer household, the TV was shut off for a full week. The kids are still getting over it, of course. But you know what? You can do it. You really can. And that these books are our priceless gifts of value, to which your children and mine are entitled. You, all of you, are keepers of the flame, and it has been lighted. And it lights the uncertain and often dangerous path from the cave to modern civilization. thank you for what you are doing. Again, a nation in which libraries cannot function, in which people cannot read, is a nation lost. Congratulations, West Brookfield. The program, I'm going to get them right over here. In the spirit of bipartisanship and the support for libraries, we have citations from the Massachusetts Senate, from the Massachusetts House. And it says, the trustees, be it hereby known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its congratulations to the trustees of the Merriam-Gilbert Public Library. If I was a more savvy politician, I would wait till Claudia's film got me on. Good, leading that to the applause line. I may have been born at night, but I wasn't last night. Be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, and that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and signed by Thomas Birmingham, the Senate President, and myself, who's very, very proud to present this to you and remain very committed to building some more of these libraries for our future generations. God bless you.
It's a very visible place downstairs.
I also, and I'm not on the speaking schedule, but if I learned one thing from the senator, he's never turned down an audience. So I'll make my comments real brief. I want to congratulate West Brookfield. This is a tremendous investment that you're making in the town and in your future and your children. And I know you've worked very hard, and although I've just taken office, I know that the then Representative Brewer and Senator Wetmore worked very hard to make this a reality for West Brookfield. I want to congratulate you today. And I also have a citation from the House of Representatives. It said, be hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to the Merriam-Gilbert Public Library in recognition of your unwavering commitment to provide top-quality library services to the people of West Brookfield. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 4th day of May 1997. Signed, Thomas Clinnerin, Speaker of the House, and David Powell.
Thank you.
It's nice coming after the others because they say everything that you were going to say, so I shrunk it down a little bit, so it's not Again, I'd like to say that this is really within 2 or 3 days of ending my 9 years as selectman here in town, and I think Senator Brewer at that time was just coming on board as a senator about the same time, and he's still going on to bigger and better things, and Mr. Petal now is joining the ranks. So without these type of people helping out our small towns in Massachusetts and fighting for their districts and so forth, we would not be where we are today in many, many projects that have happened here. Our thanks go out to both of what you stand for and to you gentlemen personally in your short months that you have been here and for the many years that you were with us as a representative. It's a case that I have to stop back now and think a little bit of what has happened over the 9 years, and I think a lot of us take West Brookfield for granted, that we come home, we go to sleep, we get up, we go to work, we come home, we back and forth in and out of town. And it's the other people who pass through town that stop and say, wow, that's a gorgeous town. That's a very beautiful common. The houses around the common are very nice. The center of town is very nice. And with that in mind, we have some people who would love to have, I'm sure with this project and the town hall project, have said that, a new, more modern building, just take down the old and put up a new, would have been fitting for, maybe not even cost effective, but been more fitting for the times. Well, I think I'm one to say that West Brookfield is West Brookfield because of our buildings. And it's very, very good to see that, it has been elected by you, the people, to support projects that will restore the town hall and the library as it has been finished now. And having in the past supported other projects like the housing project here in town and so forth that fits in, the Dayport fits in with the town. I think we're out in Arizona someplace we could put up a glass and cement building and make a beautiful library, okay, but not in the town of West Brookfield. And likewise with our town hall project. So again, we are in the heart of history here. We are the Quabog Plantation. And I think by maintaining the buildings that we have and restoring them is what makes West Brookfield West Brookfield. Sometimes we got to go back 10 paces and look at what we have. And I think that's what we have achieved over the years. We've had several projects, again, through the aid of the Senate and the House of Representatives, helping us behind the scenes, which people just don't really know about sometimes. Like the ball fields that we have added to the elementary school facilities. that land was in agricultural protection. And it was the first, I do believe, in the state of Massachusetts, through the aid of many people in Boston, including Steve, to help us get that land out of preservation and to be able to add it to the facilities of the school for our youth of the town. So there's a lot of things that we can step back and be grateful for here in town. And I certainly have enjoyed, the many years that I spent on the Board of Selectmen and prior to that on the rescue squad and so forth. But I'm kind of anxious for one of those two candidates who will emerge as a winner next Tuesday to allow me to go back and sit on the other side of the table and be just a general citizen once again after all these years. And with that in mind, I'd like to say to those candidates that one of the two will be elected, one of the two will be asked to serve the town and be representative of the people. And that's very, very critical, I think, at this time, because you have to kind of put your own views behind. You have to vote on issues as they will benefit the town, not as you might have as your own personal agendas. And that, I hope the candidates can do, whichever one emerges in the future. Good luck on Tuesday's election. Thank you all for coming today. And I must conclude by saying that the Library Building Committee did an outstanding job, even though it was a short month, several months of construction compared to some major school constructions or whatever. They did undergo a lot of hardships or quick decision-making that had to be made because of things that sprung up that were never anticipated, and they did an excellent job. The Board of Trustees have realigned themselves over the years to be a very, very strong Board of Trustees now, and that's very, very nice to see, because there are times in town politics where things go around, but they come around again, okay? We need more people to step forward and more people to say, yeah, I want to be a part of what's happening and maybe I can contribute something, whether you volunteer for a board and are appointed or maybe even run for a particular office. It's very, very critical that we get new faces and new ideas sometimes on these various boards in town. So once again, I congratulate both the trustees and the building committee for a wonderful job done, and the facilities. How can I say? I want to come back in a few years and look up that Red Sox.
Hey, all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next speaker has lived, breathed, slept, and ate this library construction project for the past year. And we all owe her many, many thanks for the work that she's put into this. Her husband and daughter, I don't even think recognize her anymore. She is at home. Deborah Martin, Chairman of the Building Committee.
As Augustine Burrell stated long ago, libraries are not made, they grow. And so the Merriam-Gilbert Public Library has grown to new heights. Beginning in late 1993, the Board of Library Trustees presented a long-range plan to the Board of Selectmen, the first of many steps on our long journey. In spring of 1994, the trustees were informed of several code violations by the state building inspector. He threatened to close the building for public use. Over the next 14 months, the planning stage of our journey took place. The town approved hiring an architectural firm, Mahan Wong Associates, and scheduled many interactive sessions with community members and town officials for their input. Financing our journey was the greatest concern of all involved in the project. The trustees applied for several grants in hopes of easing the financial burden to the town. The town applied for and received EOCD monies to help. To reach our final destination, in January of 1996, the trustees went to town meeting requesting over $761,000 to make the library handicapped accessible and upgrade the entire building to meet all current codes. This would also triple the usable floor space, allowing for future growth. The town showed their support and passed the article. During the next 6 months, the travelers on our trip changed and a library building committee was formed. Final details for the project were approved and the committee went out to bid. During the bidding time, a joint clerk of the works, David Boucher, was hired to oversee both the Merriam-Gilbert Public Library and the Town Hall projects. The time had arrived for packing our suitcases. In August, the majority of the library was stored for the duration of the construction, while a small portion of the collection was moved to the elementary school, where it was welcomed with open arms. After the sub-bids and bids were received, the building committee and the trustees discovered a shortfall of $176,000 to complete the project with a reduced scope of work. The two groups went before the voters at a special town meeting and received the additional money from the taxpayers of West Brookfield. September was a very emotional month for all involved. Builder Systems was signed as a general contractor, and a groundbreaking ceremony was held in front of the building. Late in September, one of the biggest and most heart-rending decisions was made during our construction. It was the removal of the large maple tree at the rear of the building. On September 24th, the committee was informed the town didn't receive the library construction grant they had applied for earlier in the year. The real start of our journey began with demolition and construction in October. The townspeople could see a large dumpster, fencing, and scaffolding in front of the building. Most people will remember the beginning of our mud season. We had lots and lots of mud. As with most old buildings, many discoveries were made along the way. When walls were removed, it was learned that floors didn't meet together, and boards hung with the exposed fireplace in the reading room, which was hidden behind a wall. In November, the white plastic tower appeared, and the curious began wondering what was lurking underneath. Was it as large as the plastic? Would it be a complete eyesore to our town? They would be left wondering for several months to come. One of the highlights for the building committee was in January when we picked the carpeting and paint. Anyone who could have seen 8 people throwing carpet on the floor and trying to be interior decorators would have laughed. The end of our journey was approaching. During these stressful times, the building committee and trustees worked closely together to continue the forward march on a very rocky road. Communication and cooperation between town departments became increasingly important if we were all to reach the same destination. On a sunny day in April, several truckloads of volunteers moved the temporary library from the school back into our new building. While taking the first load of books and furniture into the building, all paused for a moment and admired the gleaming copper gutters and the newly landscaped lawn. There are many people to thank for making this journey possible, beginning with the Board of Library Trustees. Without their early efforts, the town would have faced a closed building with no library services. The Library Building Committee for their dedication and diligence in seeing the project through to the end. The Board of Selectmen for their support and commitment to our town. All town departments for their cooperation through the various phases of the project. The property abutters whose lives were disrupted during the construction. The library personnel for being a constant sounding board during our difficult times. Rick Ringard and Kurt Schmucke of Builder Systems for being so easy to work with. Lillian Wong for advising the group throughout our project. And finally, most importantly, the townspeople of West Brookfield in their undying support for their beloved library. I would like to personally thank Carla Talby and Susan Rowden for making it possible for me to finish the project through my emotional highs and lows. To my friends, thank you for worrying about my physical and mental health. You'll never know how much that simple hug could mean. I'd like to especially thank my family for their unwavering love, support, and understanding during my many absences. And so begins the next chapter of our journey.
Checking Debbie out the last month. Go ahead. And now we really think she's okay. Thanks. Now Pat Turner from the West Brookfield Historical Commission has a few words.
I first have to say, I remember the day I called Debbie. We had an opening on the trustees. I said, well, maybe. I said, if I can help you get rooms when you come, and she said, yes. Are we glad?
Hey.
Thanks to the trustees for inviting me here today to represent the West Brookfield Historical Commission on this special day in our history. There seems to be a lot of confusion about who the West Brookfield Historical Commission is and who the Claiborne Historical Society is. We seem to get mixed up. Our goals are the same, but in 2 words, I'd like to tell you the difference. As Will Early had mentioned earlier about the Claiborne Historical Society, It was formed in 1895, including the 6 towns of the Quabog Plantation. Each town was encouraged to maintain a museum. It was a time in our history of awareness of our history and our heritage. This time, a lot of town histories were being published, and people were writing their individual family histories. There was a strong feeling of patriotism, and society sprang up everywhere, including here. The societies are supported by membership dues and fundraising activities, and they rely on donations for their artifacts and museums. Now, that's the society. Now the commission. We can start at the national level. In 1916, the National Park Service was formed to help operate and maintain the national parks and monuments. In the 1960s, the Commonwealth established the Massachusetts Historic Commission under the National Historic Preservation Act. In turn, each local government was to form a local historical commission with up to 7 members, and they were appointed here by the selectmen. Our duties were to inventory our local assets. These assets include area buildings, sites, structures, objects, anything that was historically and architecturally significant to the town, the state, and the nation. West Brookfield voted in 1966 to form a commission. It finally got underway in 1968 with Dr. Lewis Roy as its chairman. Dr. Roy was a perfect person for this, as he was president of the Quabog Historical Society. And he had just published The Quabog Plantation, alias Brookfield, just 3 years before that. And he was working on the history of East Brookfield. Confusion prevails today, probably because of his overlapping duties. The society, now 102 years old, is still a private organization, and it collects artifacts and histories of our town and other plantation towns. And it maintains a museum, and it has been a repository for items donated to the town of West Brookfield through the commission. Right now, I will say, we need a home for that. I'm active in that, but I'm on the commission, and that's what I'm representing here today, because the commission is an arm of our government. It collects information about properties, and in turn, it sends it to the State Historical Commission. We, along with most of the town people, were in shock. Imagine a square tower with a flat roof next to our 1880 Victorian Gothic building. Well, you can't, anybody could see, and it was going to be set at an angle, of all things, not even flush to the building. All that, and we were in the National Register District. So it just didn't sound right first when we first heard it. But after careful study of the project, we found it worthy of our support. Historical information from our inventory files that we've been collecting over the years was used in the grant writing process. Newton Frost, our chairman, wrote letters of support. Our approval of the project was a necessary link between West Brookfield and the Massachusetts Historical Commission for the eligibility receiving state grant money. The commission has always had a close working relationship with the trustees and the library personnel, and we expect the same to continue. We both have a responsibility to the town to make available materials relating to our early history and rich history is dating back 337 years to the Quabog Plantation on Foster Hill. Now, as we view the finished product, you haven't seen it over yet, but you will. We couldn't be more pleased. It's beyond our expectations. From the elevator tower setting apart at an angle to the building, and sidelights on the connecting walls, to the design and the brickwork, to the matching exterior fabric of stone and brick. Even the copper gutters and downspouts are impressive. Not to mention the restored interior on the main floor with the exposed woodwork and the fireplace. And most of all, accessible for everyone. Our congratulations for a job well done to Susan Roden, Carla Telby, and all the trustees, Deborah Martin and the building committee, Board of Selectmen for their support, Steve Gore for his assistance. and all the volunteers, many volunteer hours, that have made this possible. And for making history today, thank you.
Damage the building and its historical architectural beauty. You agree with that? We're now going to hear a few words from Bob Torstenson, from Board of Trustees and Secretary Extraordinaire.
Thank you. Senator Brewer, selectmen, and all you other friends of the library. I call these remarks beginnings because the library has had several of them. This building was first dedicated on November 12, 1880. Back in those days, the centerpiece of such a celebration as this would be a formal speech called an address with a capital A by some dignitary renowned for his oratorical powers. It's always his, of course. On that historic evening, the address was delivered by Homer E. Sprague, Ph.D., headmaster of Boston Girls High School. I read that speech. It's a splendid speech, about 40 minutes long. You will be spared such splendor this time. Dr. Sprague was, of course, looking forward. Today we're taking an appreciative glance at the past. Today's dedication or rededication is the fourth in the history of this building. A history that begins nearly 120 years ago in a little room on the third floor of the town hall with a collection of 300 volumes. The most recent celebration, though, was the centennial of 1980, for which this centennial booklet was published. Before that was the major reconstruction of 1960, made possible by a surprise legacy of $100,000 from Helen E. Gilbert of California, a native of West Brookfield and the daughter, evidently, of a library trustee. The town recognized Miss Gilbert's generosity by adding her name to the library's name, now the Merriam-Gilbert Library. But of all the library's many friends and benefactors over the years, the name most honored is that of its founder, Charles Merriam, born in West Brookfield in 1806. He was the second of 5 brothers, all of whom became successful, public-spirited businessmen. Charles and his brother George in 1832 founded the G&C Merriam Company of Springfield, then, as now, publishers of the famous Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the supreme authority on our language. In 1876, Charles gave $5,600 in stock to the library committee here, and in 1879 offered to buy this site and build on it a memorial library as a gift to the town. I've asked Will Early to read a section of Merriam's letter on that.
I have been prompted by a desire to do something for my native town, which shall be an expression of my gratitude for the early educational advantages it offered me, and at the same time be of permanent benefit to its citizens, especially the young. I hope the town will cherish the institution as one in which all its citizens have an interest and may find it of lasting value.
Well, you can hardly imagine the excitement in town at that news. Certainly, at a special meeting called for the purpose on April 3rd, 1880, the town accepted Merriam's offer and also approved a message of thanks presented by the library committee as follows. Whereas West Brookfield has been a constant recipient of the munificence of Charles Merriam of Springfield from the time the public library was started, and whereas he purposes to add much more yet in his donations to his native town by erecting within the present year a most convenient, ornamental, and costly public library building for perpetuating this institution. Love that language. Therefore, be it resolved that the citizens in town meeting assembled tender him a formal vote of thanks in recognition of his most valuable gifts. This elegant message, of course, passed unanimously. Merriam's gift included books, at least 1,000 volumes over the years. The library itself cost only $21,000 in 1880, surprisingly small sum, one would think. But a reference librarian in Worcester found that would be over $300,000 today. When the new building was to be dedicated in November, Mr. Merriam was, of course, invited as an honored guest. His letter to J.L. Barnes of the Library Committee, declining to be present, gives us a clearer sense of the man. He wrote from his home in Springfield. Will, would you read that?
It could give me the greatest pleasure to meet your citizens on such an occasion and to listen to Colonel Sprague's address. In planning and carrying out the details during the progress of the building, I have found more gratification, I presume, than anybody else, as it has afforded me pleasant occupation during the leisure of my advancing years. And my best wishes and fervent prayers will go up for the welfare of the good old town while life lasts. As Watts says in one of his hymns, "May peace attend thy gate, and joy within these wait, to bless the soul of every guest, the man who seeks thy peace and wishes thy increase, 1,000 blessings on him rest." And though I cannot add that here my friends and kindred dwell, yet the remains of those from whom I am descended, and of other relatives and friends whom I have loved best, rest in your burying ground, and will always make it, to me, the most hallowed spot on earth. But my advanced years, general health, and nervous susceptibility make me hug my fireside pretty closely, especially of an evening, so that I feel obligated to excuse myself from coming out. Then, as I am a very diffident man, something might be said on the occasion which would shock my modesty. Please convey my best compliments to the committee and accept my warm thanks for the kind offer of your own hospitality.
As it happened, Merriam's care for his health enabled him to live 7 more years to 1887. Has the library fulfilled Merriam's hopes? Well, it seems to have done so. The Library Committee of 1882 was pleased to report that in that year, 1,617 volumes had been taken out, and that its collection was already 15,000 volumes, and that its reference works were often consulted. I checked the figures for a recent year, 1995. They show that this library is a very active one. The Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners reported that for the 25 towns of about our size, the average circulation in 1995 had been 37,000. For the Merriam-Gilbert Library, it was 67,000. Relating this to the librarian's full-time equivalents, the commissioners showed that the average circulation per librarian in the region was 15,000. For our librarians, circulation was 40,000. The community of West Brookfield uses its library a lot, far more than most towns do. The library is lively because it's part of our lives. And I'm happy to report that the Merriam-Webster Company still wishes us well. They have donated their latest unabridged dictionary and stand, plus an audio computer dictionary for use on library computers, gifts that will keep on giving, as all library gifts do. The Library Committee of 1882 wrote that the success of their library, they write, should be an incentive to renewed exertions on its behalf. No means should be neglected to keep it before the people, and to impress upon its patrons a sense of the treasures within its walls. In the belief that its importance will not cease to be appreciated, and that the liberal support which it has received in the past will continue in the future, we commend the library to the town. That proud hope, expressed by the 7 members of that 1882 Library Committee, remains our hope today. And so we begin again.
Before I wrap up our ceremony, I would like to introduce the new library director, Michael Bennett, who comes here after several years as an assistant manager at Barnes & Noble in Auburn. Michael has a strong management background and a strong background in the publishing world. He's also a freelance writer with a special interest in local history. He's gotten his feet wet in the last 2 weeks by helping to put up shelving, unpack about 18,000 books, and get this library ready for the day. Hopefully, it still has the energy to go on.
Bob and Will, that's gonna be a tough act to follow right there. Hope I'm up for it. This is gonna be very short tonight, Paige. Nice to see everyone come out today on such a beautiful afternoon. Upon leaving my previous position as assistant manager at Barnes & Noble Booksellers in Auburn, a curious thing happened to me. Colleagues would repeatedly ask, Michael, where are you going to work again? West what? West Brookfield, I say quietly, almost in a whisper. Can't hear you, they say, over the crash of automobiles and sirens on that nasty stretch of highway known as US Route 12 in Auburn. Besides, what's the big secret? At this point, if they were a friend, as many of them were, I'd motion them closer, almost surreptitiously, and lean toward their ear. West Brookfield. This town, to put it simply, is a gem. And like many gems, it is a secret tucked away in the farther reaches of county geography, hidden within a mystery of back roads and the hills of Whortleberry, Ragged, and Foster. It is a town not unlike my own as a young child, a place called Dudley, a place back then of cow pastures and baseball diamonds and one traffic light. This, of course, all before the tides of development turned and the biggest cash crop was no longer sweet corn and shortstops, but newly paved cul-de-sacs. But enough about childhood memories, for it is the present and future that look bright for the young and old, sons and daughters of West Brookfield. It is here at this significant moment in time that I stand before you to say my first official hello, and to welcome you all back to the wonderful library you have all been waiting for over these many months. Welcome back, and thank you very much.
Looking forward to many future years with Michael at the helm. As we were setting up the program for today's speeches, I got my name at the end of the list. I said, I only want about 30 seconds. I don't really, after everybody else has spoken, I don't want to listen to it anymore. And I realized that there's so many people to acknowledge and thank for this project that it's going to take a little bit longer, but it won't be too long. This building that we're celebrating today has truly been a community effort. I would like to thank former and present trustees who set the stage in preparation for such a major undertaking, along with former Director Mary Halser and Louise Garwood, and their crew of volunteers and substitutes who were actively involved in all the planning stages and who provided excellent service during the period of construction under severely restricted conditions over below interest. Lillian Wong and her partner Elizabeth Mahan for their creative and exciting design ideas and for including the staff and the community in all of the planning stages. All of the town officials, especially the selectmen who have been advising us and supportive of us throughout this project. Senator Steve Brewer, we can't thank you enough for supporting public libraries along with all his many other activities. The building committee and the board of trustees for many weeks of hard work to see this project through. This was truly a democratic process. Debbie mentioned the carpet before. If you don't like the carpet, it was voted by majority, it was chosen by majority vote. That's what we have. I'd like to thank all of the generous donors who have supported the library in the past, and the ones who are currently supporting us in our fundraising drive for furniture. We're more than halfway to our goal of $20,000. I would like to commend Louise Garwood, who's still here, who has a new understanding of the meaning of stress. And I think I can guarantee you that the worst is over. Special thanks go to Deborah Martin, who's chairman of the building committee. She jumped in last year and took over. All of her hard work and dedication and unfailing enthusiasm that enabled us to be here today to celebrate this building. And finally, I would like to thank all of you, the residents who were able to be here today and people from the community who couldn't be here today, who have overwhelmingly supported your library with your votes and with your physical and moral support. We couldn't have done it without the many volunteers or the supporters at town meeting. This renovation of the Merriam-Gilbert Public Library is dedicated to all of you, the residents of West Brookfield. I can't say it's been fun being a trustee. One of the perks, probably the only perk, was being able to get into the building and see it during the construction process. A few weeks ago on a tour of the basement, which had flooded, we were trying to figure out whether we can fix the problem and how long it might take, whether we get over today. My 5-year-old daughter, who was with me, as we stood on soggy carpet, looked up and said, "Mom, I really like this new children's room. I really like this whole building, and I hope that you all will like it too." We aren't having a formal tour today, but you're free to explore the building. We'll have people from the building committee and the trustees in various places if you have questions. We hope that you'll enjoy having a tour after watching the work from outside for all this time. And thank you all for coming today. All announced, the library will open for regular hours beginning on Tuesday at 2 p.m. We hope that you'll all be here then too.
So, Dan in the children's library. Happy with the library, lady?
Well, Wednesday, anytime. Got this, children?
Oh, Egyptian thing. Outfit. Actually, Bab. Bab? Yeah. I don't know what Bab is. Babe, that's a babe. What Bab? Oh, yeah, Bab. That's an African one.
How do you like the new library?
Great, cool.
Yeah?
This one's awesome. I like the new elevators they have.
Yeah?
I also like all the new stuff and stuff. I like the kids' room. Me too.
Better than it was before. isn't it?
Yeah, really. Yeah, those are like little.
How often do you come to the library?
Like, I don't know. I came a lot in the summer. Well, since it's just opening now, we're probably gonna come more often.
Good.
I wonder if my mom knows where I'm here.